Okay. It says I'm live. Are we live? We might be live. Welcome to Molten Live, chatting about music technology, talking about synthesis, hardware, software, the way those sorts of things collide into each other. And just to spend some time together, chatting, talking, getting to know one another, those sorts of things. Just while I imagine there's some stuff I have to do and I have to press in order to understand what's going on, so just for a moment, I'm just going to fiddle over here while people gather, and then we'll see if we can get this thing to work. I'm just assuming that it is working, and by all means comment about the audio. I'm using a different microphone this evening, and that's caused me a little bit of head scratching. So if it's either cutting out because I've put the noise scale up too high, or if it's leaning back, all that jazz, let me know in the comments, which I don't have up yet. I'm going to go and have to find in a moment. I'm going to fiddle for a minute, just a minute, and I'll be back. So, you know, put the kettle on, that kind of thing. We'll get there. Come on. Noise gain's a bit high, you say, so I'm cutting. It's cutting me out before I speak. Is that what you're saying? Please expand. Okay, great. I'm just preparing myself, putting things together. I can never quite get myself sorted out beforehand, so just waiting for a few more faces, perhaps, and then we'll get started. In the meantime, I'll press the button. Okay, I will bring the noise gate down a little bit. Do let me know if that's a little bit better. So I'd hate to start talking for an hour and for it not to really work for you. So good, right? Let's just bring that down a little bit, sort of like to nothing, I suppose, and re-welcome you. Welcome. This is the Molten Music Technology live stream, which happens on the Sunday after I release my Molten monthly music technology video magazine thingy, so that we can get together, we can chat about this month's news, what's going on with us, what's going on in the world of technology and music and sound and audio, computer, software, hardware, synthesis and all that jazz. That's the plan. That's the plan. I've got a little crib sheet over here of some things I might try to talk about, but I'm not that bothered, to be honest, so I'm quite happy to talk about whatever you want to talk about, or I can just keep talking. Or if I run out of steam, I'll just fiddle with the machine over here, and that'll be it. But that's all right. Sometimes these things go on a long time. I don't know why that is. I mean, already 5 minutes have steamed past, and we don't seem to have accomplished anything yet. But that's kind of my vibe. I'm very much about the long form, about just looking off into the future and not caring about where we've been or how long it's been. I just like to keep going. So, to kick us off, I would like you to choose my beer, choose my beverage for this evening, because I came across these in our local supermarket, Lidl, of course, and I thought I would give you the opportunity to vote on the beer. So, okay, starting with this one, we've got a Barry Island IPA, an American style IPA. But of course, an IPA is an Indian beer. Not that it matters. Not that it matters. Apparently, it's made in collaboration with Simon Martin. I have no idea who that is. So that's a Barry Island IPA, 5%. I've got a from the London Beer Factory. This one here, rather dapper. Beyond the Pale. Beyond the Pale. Everyone's getting far too clever with beer these days. I could do a channel on. No, I couldn't. I can't drink enough. I'm too lightweight. That's the problem. I have no idea what that is. I think it's 4.2, but it's got people on it with guns, look, in like a chippy chirpy Cockney kind of way. Then I've got another one from London Beer Factory called Hazy Days. Hazy Days. That's another session IPA. That one. That 4.6. And finally, I've got from the Vocation Brewery 4.4% Heart and Soul. So just to reiterate, that's Heart and Soul. I'll put them here so you can have a look. Heart and Soul, Hazy Days, Beyond the Pale, and a Barry Island IPA. So, no, I'm not going to have all four. Thank you. No, I wouldn't be able to cope. I would be dribbling. I would be dribbling after 1.5. I mean, I think when I get to the end of one during my live streams, I'm usually pretty fruity by that point. And you don't want anything more. You don't want any more of that. That's for sure. So, of course, as I am in the future, and you're seeing this in the past, I'm going to have to pause to let you soak that in. And you know, if none of this actually happens, then I'll just drink one. I don't mind. So how have we all been? What was the news of the week? Well, the thing that seemed to generate the most interest on the video and in responses and comments I got to that was the question of sequencing. What is that about? Is that a thing that we can get into deeper or shallower? Is it too complex? Is it too much? Are we moving from computers where we have the world of sequencing, every sort of sequencing you can think of, into hardware? Are we trying to drag that with us? What's the point of our sequencing? Are we trying to generate a live performance, in which case is sequencing the best answer to that? Or are we trying to write a track, in which case, again, is sequencing the best answer to that? these are the sorts of questions that perhaps we could ponder. I mean, this has been triggered for me because of the lattice, this lovely tenderfoot lattice that Peter Young, I think if I remember that rightly, sent to me. He's a British guy living out in Thailand, Taiwan. Oh, I can't remember. Why don't I? I don't remember things, sadly. But anyway, he's out there making lovely little modules like this one. This is his first one, and he just popped up and said, "Would I like one?" And I said, "Yeah, sure, whatever. Just send me stuff. That's fine." And it turned up, and it's simply beautiful. Just a beautiful thing, and it completely sort of revitalized my opinion of sequencing, because I have a love-hate relationship with everything. I don't know about you, but I hate everything almost as much as I love it. So my relationship with sequencing is similarly complex, as in, oh, it's fantastic, and oh, this is really annoying. And I have lots of gadgets here which are simultaneously beautiful and frustrating. I don't know if anybody else feels that. I mean, I'm able to switch between these emotions quite easily and readily. Depends on who I'm talking to or what I'm writing for. I can completely go with, oh, I hate all this, or I can go with, I love all this. You know, I'm not a black and white type of person. I'm surfing in around the mauves, I would say, maybe some violet. So, I mean, in my rig here, sequencing wise, I have sequencing in the Moog, in the Mother 32. I've got the Hermod, the sequencer. I've got the Varigate 4 Plus as a sequencer, and I've even got the Turing machine, which is kind of a sequencer. Is that everything? Oh God, I've got a BeatStep Pro. Yes, I have. That's out the back somewhere because I never ever use it. So, you know, I have an abundance of sequencers, and this one has been the one I've played with the most. Well, I haven't had it as long as the rest, of course, but I've got straight into it, and it does exactly what I need. And let me just get across what I mean by that, because sequencers are splendid and awesome, lots of light and bits and pieces. But what always frustrates me, particularly with the Varigate 4 Plus, because I thought the Varigate 4 Plus was a brilliant purchase, because I'd looked at the 8 and the 8 Plus, Varigate 8, thinking, oh, I really could do with one of those, but it's huge and expensive. I can't afford that. So when they came out with the 4 Plus, which wasn't just a gate sequencer, it also had CV as well, which is what the Plus is about. I thought, that's the one. That's the one. Because I love these little sliders. I love the sliders, and as as it steps through them, you see the light and you see what's going on. But no, that's not what happens in the slightest. That does not happen. You do not see. Those sliders represent nothing. You use them to change data, which is then magically remembered inside the unit. But as soon as you move on to another parameter or another channel or whatever, they don't mean anything. They mean nothing. And that has just messed with my head. So I never actually know what it's going to generate. And sometimes that's interesting. You can just move sliders about and get stuff. But there's times where you want to be more intentional, and there's times where you want to do something, go off and fiddle, come back and still have some idea as to what it's doing. I mean, arguably you could use your ears for these sorts of things, but I like visual stuff. I like to be able to move sliders. I like to be able to see what's going on. I like to be able to recall by using eyes on things. So when it came to the lattice, this fella here, it's just 12 knobs. It's 12 knobs and a couple of CV in and out at the top. And the knob points to the note. Well, not the note, to the voltage, if you like. So, I mean, it doesn't point exactly to a note because it's just generating voltage, and what those notes are, I have to then interpolate. But I know that this is playing low notes, these four here. I know that these are playing notes in the middle, and I know that these are playing high notes. Because look at them. I know that they are. And so I know what's going on, and that, for me, is a beautiful thing, to actually see what's going on and be able to go away and come back to it and know still what's going on, and then be able to play with it and change it and know that I've changed it and see that I've changed it and that stay changed. Because, you know, with the Varigate, that's fine. I've moved that. That's great. But then I've gone into another mode and it's all gone. It's all just gone. I've gone to another channel. It's all gone. With something like the Mother 32, perhaps, does that give you that sort of information? No, I don't think so, because the Mother 32 sequencer just makes you want to die. And so any sort of creativity you're trying to bring to it is quickly lost in that desperate situation you find yourself in when you just go, my life is too short to program this sequencer. And I've programmed some sequences in my time, let me tell you. The Hermod, that's a different animal. I'm still very intrigued by the Hermod. I want to do a nice deep video on it because it's a different thing. And it's hard to explain why it's a different thing. It's not the sort of sequencer that I want to use, like particularly. I want to use something like the Lattice. But it's the sort of sequencer that I believe I can get a lot of value out of. And there's a lot of great things in there. And when it comes to actually writing a track, then the Hermod is going to be very, very useful in that. It's already useful in other things like MIDI to CV and backwards again and creating modulation and recording modulation. Things like that. Very, very interesting. So it's a fabulous device. It's just not an instant sequencer. It's a FAF sequence with. But it's worthwhile doing it because it's so immensely powerful. So definitely hanging on to that. Definitely going to do some deeper work on it so that I can properly explain it, properly get into it, and use it better. What was I saying? So yeah, so that's the reason why I like the Hermod still. That's going to definitely stay there. On the other hand, the Varigate is definitely also going to stick around because of its gating and its clocking and things like that. Some very interesting things going on. You've got gate and gate length. So I can use that with the Lattice because the Lattice doesn't produce any gates. It's purely a voltage sequencer. And so there's no telling the oscillator when to turn on or off, or if at all. But that gets interesting as well because that forces me into using other things like the random rhythm. Because previous to that, I mostly use the random rhythm for percussion, I suppose, and that's not always satisfactory. But the sort of rhythms it can create in terms of gates does get interesting. So yeah, so there was some talking. So how are we doing on the beers? Any beers? I mean, because it's like the ridiculous delay of YouTube is that I could point to one, but I have to sit here for at least 30 seconds before I'd get any response. Let's have a look. I don't think anybody cares. Verbos multi-stage, yeah? I don't know what that is. Okay, where's the best thing for... There we go. I'm just going to move back up through the comments to see whether anybody mentioned the beer. Right. Beyond the Pale looks sweet. Yeah. Yeah, it does. Unfiltered, says. That's nice. Get something Belgium. Yeah, maybe. Yes and no. I mean, I don't mind a Leffy every now and again, assuming that's Belgium. Belgique. But as I say, these were just knocking around in my local supermarket and they looked interesting because I'm a sucker for the packaging. Oh, yeah, you know, doesn't matter what it is inside, but if you make it look nice, oh, yeah, I am in there. Yeah, all right. Well, there's no point in recommending beers that I don't have. These are the 4 I have. God, what a shower. I'm not going out for more beer. It's a Sunday night. Nothing's open. At least in the UK. So what are these ones? Yeah? Oh, dear Lord. Anyway. Alright, so nobody really cares. So, I mean, the only pointer I had was for Beyond the Pale. So I will go for that one. Let's have that. Ooh. Ah. Ooh. Wow, look at that. I've never seen the like. Look, the old top comes off. That's weird. That's the weirdest ring pull I've ever seen in my life. So, does that mean I'm supposed to drink it out of this contraption? Oh. No, I mean, I got like a glass. I got my Boozer technology glass. I'm unsure. I wonder if there's any serving instructions inside. It is a nice can. So what's with this one's the same? Does it say anything about it? Introducing the 360-degree can. Means you can drink it from every side, I suppose. Gently roll before serving. Too late for that, I'm afraid. Cat's out of the bag. Yeah. Okay. All right. Get that was out of the way then. That one's sticky for some reason. I don't like it. So, okay. That's just a little strange. I'm going to tip that beautifully down the side of the glass, obviously, so that I don't create an enormous head. Yeah. So, I mean, regulars to my channel will realise that the things that I'm fabulous at are very, very small. But the things I have a go at are huge. I like to have a go at stuff, but there's absolutely what? there's no there's no belief that I'm actually any good at these things. I can't even pour beer, for God's sake. Hmm. So yeah, very strange can. Very strange. Right, great. So, what are we talking about? So sequencers, yes. Did I look at the Dofa? What I went to Dofa's website. I can't find anything. Anybody find anything on Dofa's website? It's probably. I mean, it's a great website. If I was kind of in 1998 and I was surfing around and I came upon that website, I would go, "Wow! Oh my goodness me! Look at the stuff on it! Animated GIFs! Oh my goodness! What an awful website! Who are these people? I mean, Dofa are the kings and queens, aren't they, of modular synthesis? Excuse me. They must be doing all right, one would have thought. In which case, can't they hire somebody, anyone? Can't they just go to Wix, Wix.com? Ah, yes. I'm just some random person, and I build websites on Wix.com. See, look, the beer has affected me already. But they could go along to that, couldn't they? And they'd churn them out. I mean, I could churn them out about their website like that. So no, I couldn't find the sequencer on the Dofa website. I found their Dark Times, Dark Energy, Dark something one, the desktop one, which was all right. It wasn't inspiring, I have to say. But then Dofa stuff, I don't find it generally inspiring anyway. It's good. I have a couple of modules that are very useful because they've had some very useful stuff. But they don't have a flair, if that makes sense. So no, in the end, I wasn't able to check out Dofa sequencing modules because I couldn't find them. What can I say? It's closer to the old Moog style sequencer that I mentioned. Yeah, because when I was at college back in 19, we had a Moog modular, which I ignored because I was into computers. Well, no, I was into a mixture of things. I mean, at college, because I did music technology, but it was musical instrument technology, and my interest actually at that time was folk music, and I built Baroque flutes out of wood, is what I did, while also designing a pitch to MIDI converter in order to convert the pitch from the flute into MIDI to control a Korg M1. There you go. That's exciting. Why am I talking about that? I don't remember. Oh yeah, old Moog style sequencer. But the sequencer they had there was just purely a row of knobs that made pitches, and that was something I alluded to when I was talking about the lattice, because that's all that is. So there's one funny thing, and that these knobs are so shiny that they create a kind of a cross. Do you know what I mean? On the head, which means you can't see the line that's pointing to the pitch very well, which kind of shoots down my whole theory in flames, really. But yeah, no, you can. You just need to look at it a bit. So yes, somebody else mentioned that they've got a key step. That was interesting. I mean, I went for the BeatStep Pro because I assumed it was going to be better and flashier and nicer and more wonderful. But I mean, when you go into modular, I think my experience of it was that you seem to have two choices. There was the SQ1, the Korg little box, and there was a Beat Step Pro. That seemed to be the two. The Korg little box, I thought, yeah, that's nice. It's just, it looks like an old Korg tuner I've got. It just, again, it did not inspire. A little knob, I think so. So yeah, that did not impress. Whereas the Beat Step Pro looked like something I'd have attached to my computer. So it was very immediately familiar, looked like the right piece of gear, looked like the sort of thing I would understand how to use. How wrong I was. I don't understand a word of it. What is it doing? What sequence am I on now? How do you do what? How do you make a larger pattern? Oh, what is the pitch? What? It's supposed to record in real time. Well, you know, my playing isn't that bad, but it would quantize. You know, it was hard work. And then because you can't sit it in front of your modular, you can't sit it in front of your rack because it has all these cables sticking straight out the back. Yeah, I just found it very frustrating. And then there didn't seem to be any sense of pitch. It would give pitches. Well, first of all, I had a strange experience with the Mother 32. It would send the clock of that all over the place. And then pitch was really weird. And I couldn't, half the octaves didn't work. Like I say, Beat Step Pro just started doing my head in, so I haven't really looked at it since. But I can see how it is a good stepping stone between using a computer and going into something more interesting. I mean, I love the Eloquencer. It's probably a way of saying that. The winter modular one. I mean, it's beautiful. I see it in people's racks, and it's doing all this bubbly lights and things. It just looks amazing. Same with the Polyend, big long strip of light. Looks amazing. All of that. I've no idea how usable they are, but they look fantastic. So yeah, I've always been interested in those, but just pricey and big, which is quite difficult. Whereas I like simple. Simple's good. I mean, I could probably use 2 or 3 lattices kind of working together simply. I mean, already, like the bit I was playing earlier, this bit, that's still in tune. So what I've done, is this interesting? Who knows? What I've done, I don't even know if you can see this brilliantly, but we'll go with it. You've got 12 knobs, right? But rather than stepping through 12 notes, I've changed this into 3 lots of 4. So I've got 4 notes here, 4 notes here, and 4 notes here. At the moment it's doing the middle one. But at the press of a button over here, I can move on to the next sequence, essentially. It's now in different sequence. It's now gone high. If I press it again, now it goes on to a lower sequence. Just fiddling with my quantizer. And bring that back across to the next one. So essentially what I've done is created 3 4-note patterns, which I can then access and step between. I mean, that's genius. That's like verse and chorus and middle 8 going on. From a very simple sequence. Or I could do it the other way around. So I could do that. How do I do that? I would do that by putting the clock into the sideways one. It's now going sideways. And I could then step it to the row at the top. Now it's playing a different sequence to the next one. And I've got 3 note sequences. 4 patterns. I think that's really good. I just got to do this. yeah, so I've been enjoying that tremendously. Been enjoying the whole experience of the lattice because it's just so simple, and it means because I mean I have a terrible my approach to all of this is that I very rarely get long spaces of time to actually really focus on things. I have a scatter approach where I get 5 minutes here, I get 20 minutes there, just to have a quick play, because things are a bit hectic. So I need things which are quick to get into, that are simple to grasp, and have immediate effect. And that's just been perfect for that. I haven't had to. Well, no, I'll show you the manual. Right. This is. There you go. That's what I call a top class manual. Look at that. Oh yes. Awesome. That's what you want. I wish more manufacturers would hand write me a manual. That's fantastic. Hmm. So yeah, so that's why I've been talking about sequencing. Very, very useful, and that's inspired me in all sorts of different ways to create a few tracks using that pattern thing I've been talking about, and also where else that feeds into and how else I can use it. Maybe I can start using it for modulation as well, which is something I don't do enough of. It's talking about using things which are generating voltages for modulation rather than for notes. Because one assumes a sequencer is for notes, but it doesn't have to be. It's always the same. Because I'm always using LFOs to do modulation, whereas I don't need to always be using an LFO. It could be something. Right, let me have a look at some of the comments and see what's occurring. Fire, somebody said. FL Studio Fire. Yeah, that was a surprise. That's really interesting because it's I guess it's a step sequencer of some sorts because it's for FL Studio. FL Studio is all based around that tiny little weenie. I can't see it. It's so small. Sequencer for everything. That's still in there. The heart of it is still as it was as Fruity Loops many, many years ago. That's still there. And the Akai controller seems to capture that beautifully. I honestly haven't looked into it any deeper than seeing the picture and going, oh. So that's my only real opinion on that. Somebody else is liking. Dennis, are you liking your BeatStep Pro? Good for you. Good for you. Because, my opinion is only mine. And I have absolutely no interest in forcing my opinion on other people's. And I'm quite happy to live in a world where two different opinions coexist. So I understand that there are people who like BeatStep Pro. And there are people who don't. And that's okay, man. That's okay. I'm good with all of that. I am. Intuitive. It's not word I would have used, but that's okay. Again, that's okay. That's okay. You're not an idiot. Use a fast trigger to sequence clock input, but use less trigger to his reset input at the same time. What? Fast trigger to the sequencer clock. So, okay. You want me to go super fast and then slower on the reset? The reset is the other one. All right, let's try that out. So, you want me to go much faster. Thing. Is this one? Let's go from there. Let's go from there. La-da-da, track. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to step it all the way through. Then take a slower clock out of my clock divider, put that into reset. Is that what you were after? That's interesting. Thank you for that. that kind of ups the note count, as in I get the 12 notes and then I get it repeated after half of them. Makes sense? It resets sort of oddly. Like what I really maybe want. Yeah, okay, interesting. It's all sequences are interesting. And the whole clock in and out business, clocking in, what you're triggering, what you're starting, what you're moving on to, always very interesting. And you can absolutely completely change something that you're doing just by speeding it up or slowing it down. It's a fascinating world, this modular business. Yeah, that's really nice. I'll play with that later. Okay. Let's carry on through this thing for the moment. Key step Digi 1, digitone, Digi 1, digit 1, digit only. For sequencing. Okay, fair enough. We can all do that. Yes, the Mother 2 sequence is a major pain. Yes, it is. I mean, I guess it's kind of in a style of a 303 sequencer, but I don't ever remember a 303 sequencer being that much of a pain. And right now, I have no idea how to sequence it because I can't remember. I always have to refer to the manual. No, I can't. Nothing springs to mind at all. Well, I mean, I wouldn't stop you from getting a Mother 32 because the sound, fantastic. It's a lovely thing. I mean, I often ignore it because I'm playing with the rest of the rack. But whenever I come back to it, like I have done this evening, because this is running the drone at the bottom. Turn off those two bits. There it is. I've got a little bit of pulse width modulation going on. Slowly. And adding a little bit to the filter as well. I like doing that by hand. Anyway. Sorry, I mustn't get distracted. So easily distracted into fiddling when there's a world out there that wants answers, and I have answers. Let me give answers or something. Let's move on down a little bit. Hello, you're very welcome here, all those people. Hi. Oops. Let's not jump ahead too quick. Oh, and never seen a can like that. Obviously, we're going back in time now. Right, move on. Come down. Okay. How good is your shed for keeping your gear in? Is it insulated, etc.? No, it's just this. It's a single skin of wood this thick. So, no, it's not very well insulated. What I did, I mean, the first winter in here was just awful. I had to sit on a heater most of the time. So there, and also the summer, it would sweat and drip and get all condensation and stuff. So what I did was I put insulation in the ceiling. So I put a whole load of panels up. I'm not going to show you because it doesn't look very good. But I got these foam blocks that all went all the way along, and that helped tremendously. It's still flipping freezing in here in the winter, and I do have a heater, which I have on today, in fact, because it's been cold. Although I'm getting a bit. So yeah, no, not insulated at all. That means everyone can hear me, I suspect. But I am quite a way down the back of the garden, and surrounded by gardens and an orchard at the back. So hopefully I don't upset anybody or annoy anybody. But there you go. So yes, it's a sizable space I have in here. I mean, it's built as I built it as a workshop because I build computers most of the time. And when we moved up here 10 years ago, yeah, business was very different to how it is now, and I was building a lot of computers, and so I needed a lot of space, a lot of desk space. I even employed people sometimes. So it is a lovely big space, which is now jammed full of stuff I really don't need. But I have developed much of my workbench space, although I still build computers just over there, into this lovely little setup that I've got here, which is just, this is the greatest thing. I've never had anything like it. I mean, I remember years ago I had a Technics keyboard and a little DX100 sitting on top of that, and I thought I was away, guitar next to that. Oh, just amazing. And then another house when I got my very first flat, built this little unit that had a Kawai. It had a Kawai K5000 that sat underneath that I could slide out with my computer, which was awesome. So I never used the sounds on that. Never used them. What's it all about? Oh yeah, the shed. So so it's a great space. So I've got all my main computer over there that I do my work on is on that side. This, I've got junk behind me. Fantastic. It's a great place to store junk. And it works for me. I mean, you put shelves up very easily because it's all made of wood. But yes, you definitely need insulation, and you need to wear thick jumpers and usually fingerless gloves and heated socks during the winter. Right, let's see if I can catch up with some of these comments now. Can you use third-party pens with the Surface? Probably, but I don't know why you would. Cheapness, I guess. Why would you do that? I mean, you've already spent a load of money on it. I mean, assuming, because the connection between the pen and the Surface is in the screen as well as in the pen, so you can't use a Surface Pen with any other computer because as I understand it, you have the connection between the two devices. So if you're using a third-party pen, then that presumes or assumes that third-party pens work with any old other computer, in which case there's no reason why it wouldn't work with the Surface. Don't you think? I suppose, unless there has to be some connection with the touchscreen. So yeah, I don't know. I can't even extrapolate that one because I don't really understand why you would. Because there's a Surface Pen, and that's got to be the best solution, hasn't it? Don't you think? Might have been an earlier buggy version of the Big Step Pro. No, it's just rubbish. Don't try to defend your purchasing choices to me. No, you do it like, mate. That's fine. Using push 2 with the screen turned off is all one needs to make great tunes. Why get a push 2? Why have the screen off? Why run Ableton? Surely you should be able to do all that with just an MPC, yeah? So why go to all the effort of running software with a controller and then not look at the screen? It's an open question. I'm not criticizing. It's just a question. I mean, I do that, I guess, with the Control S49 because you're looking at the little screens on the thing. But yeah, I mean, if you can use a controller that allows you to make the music you want to make, then do that. I mean, a lot of people, I think I've heard this, you know, when they get like a piano keyboard and just play piano. They don't look at anything else. Just look at the piano. That happens. Got a guitar. You know, pick that up and I just play that. It's amazing. So that does happen. So yeah, sure, do that with a push 2. Awesome. I can see how that would work. Beatstep Pro is really good to control modular gear. Really? What, all those CV outputs and stuff? I shouldn't have started so early on the beer, otherwise I'm going to get really sarcastic. And that's not nice. Let's not do that. Okay. So yes, that's true. Okay, let me grab hold of these things. Okay. Okay, Oliver, he says he knows that Eurorack is popular and fun, but not hearing many hit records being made from such a system. Yeah, true enough. I think it moves around in those sorts of circles and gets used as sound sources, the same as people use sample packs of all sorts of synths and different sorts of things. But I think the important thing to grasp with modular synthesis is that you don't really get into it to make hit records. I mean, of course, I'd love to have a hit record. Who wouldn't want to have a hit record? But that's not the driving force behind it, because I think the people using modular are releasing a huge amount of music. It's just not in the same place where you would find hit records or define hit records. It's just not that kind of scene, you know. But it could be. I mean, one of the videos I have in the back of my head sketched out to do is a let's write a synth pop tune on modular type video, using probably the Her mod that's best suited to it. And I think that could be interesting and funny, probably, because you could definitely do it. But the overriding sort of style and emphasis of modular synthesis is just more in the exploratory, is more in the experimental electronic sound, really. And that doesn't lend itself particularly to hit records. But there's no reason why people in studios wouldn't use them. Although a lot of people running studios chucked out all their modular gear many, many years ago because it's such a pain in the ass. Which it is, because you can't get a little band in, you know, a bunch of oiks who are trying to release their first album. They're not going to want to play with a modular system because it will frustrate the hell out of them and they'll lose all their creativity. Because it's not that kind of instrument, I don't think. So, yeah, so I wouldn't expect modular to find its way onto Top of the Pop. Oh God, I've only Top of the Pop. I wouldn't expect to see it on Jules Holland, for instance, or some other, or into music videos particularly. But I'm sure it will. I'm sure it'll get there. I think we overestimate its interest to people. You know, I mean, when you see bands playing their instruments in a music video, the instruments that they're actually playing are largely irrelevant because you're looking at the band, really, as opposed to the gear, or maybe not. I don't know. So yeah, no, if you're trying to make hit records, you probably need a sampler, piece of software. You need an iPad and a DAW. That's what you need. That's what hit records are all about. It's not about fiddling around with sound or trying to craft something. It's about banging out some tunes, and there's plenty of other things that are better at banging out tunes than this. No, it's an adventure. You don't want to go on an adventure every time you write a song, but this is what this is, and I want to go on an adventure just to create something which pleases me. Waffle, 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 waffle. So what about the SQ1? Yeah. No, I just don't like the look of it. There you go. It looks like a horrible little brown box. It looks like it's going to fall apart. So no, that did not inspire me. Not inspire me. Yeah, it is in front of me. I did talk about. So if you've only just come in, I did talk about this earlier. Although I'll probably answer this question. Oh, this wretched YouTube delay. It's one of the most frustrating things that people are. You know, I'm trying to respond to questions which you asked 10 minutes ago, which were. Anyway, doesn't matter. You just got to keep going with it. So if I miss your question, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Just what happened. picture on Twitter of a clang in my rack. Oh, do you mean, Matt, do you mean the, what the hell was that? Chord thing. The thing from Thing. um, it was a super booth. Yeah, that's right. You dialed in chords. It had this wonderful clock face that you dialed in order to generate chords. I think it was chords. And it was called The Clang by some guy in Norway, I think it was. Yeah. No, I don't have one of those. I would love to have one of those. I thought it was the most fantastic thing at the show. It was just beautiful. I mean, again, as I say, you know, as the same with the beer, I'm a sucker for a label, for a pretty can. And this was just the most beautiful module you've ever seen. No, I don't have one. It was what did that come from? It was a picture that I used in one of my thumbnails for my Molten monthly a while back. And it's also, funny enough, the cover shot for my podcast. That's probably where it came from. I don't know why it is. It just seemed to pull that image out from somewhere, and I used it. I haven't heard from him. I need to give him a shout, because we had a nice conversation after Super Booth talking about it, because he really appreciated all the coverage I gave it, because I just thought it was fabulous. I had to tell everyone about it. So, yeah, I need to give him a shout and find out what's going on with that, because it was a lovely thing. I mean, simple, nothing crazy going on, but it's just a great little interface. I just really liked that level of innovation in Modular, because it wasn't batshit crazy like a lot of Modular is, or so complex you need to have some kind of degree to work it out. It was just, oh, you look, you're dialing a chord. How interesting is that? Yeah. So no, I don't have one. I would very much. Thank you for that. Ah, Dennis. Yes, you're a software guy, so that might be part of why you find the BeatStep Pro intuitive. Yeah, I suppose. But I'm also a software guy. Yes, I've been a software guy since, well, you wouldn't, since before one was supposed to be a software guy. Yeah. So, yeah, no, it just didn't work for me. I mean, I can't tell you why. And and as I said, these things are allowed to exist, and it's not as if there's a global rule. You know, something isn't intuitive or unintuitive. It's the person who finds it so. That's what's actually going on there. So something can be intuitive to you if it just links up with what you're doing at the time you're doing it, and you press the right button. But another person can come along and press the wrong button and go, "Oh, what the heck is all this? Oh, you know, it's just a state of mind." So generally speaking, I would say a piece of gear isn't intuitive or unintuitive. As I say, it's kind of down to how it's being approached by the user in question at that time. So I may come back to the big step. I don't know. I have to make decisions on where I'm going to spend my time, because time is short, and I don't have a whole lot of it. So I flit a little bit, but I'm trying to find the thing that interests me the most. I don't want to get dragged down into things that don't interest me. That's a little bit why we'll talk about the Surface Go in a bit. There's a little bit why I found the Surface Go testing recently a little bit frustrating. I had to spend a long time in Windows 10s, and I wasn't interested in being there, but I knew that I had to answer that question, and that became this wrestle. Gotta get this video done. I'm just bored with this. Must get it done. Bored. Must get it done. And so, but eventually I've got there. I've got through it now, and now I can relax a little bit more into my Surface Go testing. But yeah, so I like to just focus my energies on things that interest me. But as I mentioned, I'd like to do a larger video, an overview of sequencing, if you like, in order to focus my mind on it. Because that's the reason, ultimately, I do all these videos for my own benefit. I'm doing them in order to teach myself stuff. It forces me to learn. That's why I do these videos. I mean, also it's because of my love for all of you out there, obviously. But the small part of it is because it teaches me, and I want to learn more about sequencing, and so I'd like to do an overview video of it, and so I will revisit the BeatStep Pro in order to accomplish that, and slag it off next to everything else. I know, I'll try to be nice. Will I be nice? I don't know. I'm not always nice. You know, I speak my mind, and I'm sorry, but I do. I do. Sometimes I'm sorry. Oh, well, no, you lost me at old school modal text editor. No, I don't think the lag's 10 minutes at all. It's just that I'm behind on the comment section of things. How much is a tenderfoot? I don't know. I don't think it's got a price yet. A lot of folks are playing with the Touche SE thing. Yeah, cool. I struggle to dislike it. By which I mean it's a bit kind of knobby. By which I mean it's a bit what's the word? It's a bit posh. It's just a bit knobby. That's all. It's like, oh, yes, we can just wobble this thing nicely and play expressively, man. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's lovely. Yes, and I like it. Like I say, I can't dislike it because I think the level of control it gives is really very interesting. And so yeah, I think people should play with it. As I say in my video before, I didn't realize that it had all these CV outputs in the back. Very, very cool. Or is it one of those things where that sort of control over modular, I do and I don't understand it. But then again, it's it playing on a keyboard because that kind of expression really comes from playing on a keyboard. So if you've got CV output, then that's going to be playing a monosynth a bit more than playing a modular. I think so you could use it with the grandmother really well, or something of that nature. That makes sense. Anyway, it's nice. SXK 700. I think it was the K500. Had the best. When you turn the chorus on, play the brass. I thought it was the best pad sound I'd ever heard. Anyway, stick on the disco beat, right? Play that pad. Or in fact, no, what I would do, I'd get a plectrum and I'd stick it under one key and I'd program in some chords. And then it would play those chords around and, you know, obviously. And then I'd play guitar over the top. No, or I'd play my DX100, like a pan flute with a little bit of modulation over the top. Yeah, that was my jam back in 1985, maybe 86. Yeah, if you don't know what I'm talking about, don't worry. It won't matter. It won't matter. That's a private joke between me and Porco. PlayStation 2 sequencer. That's an arpeggiator, isn't it? I think actually, and I agree. I use that a lot. Use that a lot just to get stuff going. Simeon Mobile Disco. Is that like a local bloke who does parties round your way? So like you got a 5-year-old's party and Simeon comes along and spins Jive Bunny and does balloon animals. We've got some of those around here. They're fantastic, fantastic. Everyone comes home with a balloon animal sword. Pablo, hi. Glad you could make it. Good to see you. I'm behind on the comments in case you're wondering. She's probably been in here half an hour. I've only just noticed. I'm going to try to get up to date a little bit. Podcast, there's a podcast. Yes, there is. Someone gave me a poke about the podcast because I said I would do one. And so then I did. And then I kind of ignored it because it takes me an extra 5 minutes. And, 5 minutes, man, I need that for really important things. But yes, there is a podcast. It's on iTunes. If you search for it, I'm sure you'll find it. What I try to do is that the Molten Monthly and this now, and also the live stream, I rip off an MP3 version, stick it up online, and that should be appearing as a podcast. So yeah, it's just in audio form. So hi, podcast listeners, if you're there, give us a wave. If you're there sitting on a train commuting, then please poke the person next to you and say, "Ha ha, go make some tunes," and they'll love you for that. That would be great. Tell me how that goes. Modular is more akin to abstract painting than music. It's all about artistic self-gratification or self-expression, would you say? And an appreciation for the process. Yeah, rather than commercial success. Yeah, yeah, I think that's true. It doesn't have to be that way. Of course, you can be as commercial with it as you like. You know, I do plan on releasing stuff. I have big ideas for that if ever I can find the time. If ever I can finish the stuff I did before I started this. There you go. But I mean, because my kids are into pop music. Pop music isn't like what it used to be. Good gracious no. Although I do get them listening to the Guardians of the Galaxy soundtrack from time to time, so that's quite groovy. They like that. I mean, Mr. Blue Sky, wow. Having a conversation with my kids about the difference in songwriting and composition between that and some crap they're listening to on the latest Now CD. You know, it's fascinating stuff. But it does mean that we get a lot of pop music, the Now stuff, um, in the car when we're driving along. So I do get to listen to a lot of pop music. And I think I hear modular stuff in there. They're certainly very synthy things. Lots of arpeggiated lines, lots of sequences going up and down and stuff like that. You know, even warbles of LFOs. It's in there. I think it's in there, personally. Yeah, they are expensive, that's for sure. And building your own is a good way in. Yes. Strings with chorus was incredible. Yeah, I just preferred the brass with chorus, personally. But there we go. Still talking about the Technic. Yeah. Oh, Mr. Ravioli. I don't know what that is. Ba, ba, ba. Yes. Lyra 8 is super fun. Yeah. Still looking forward to that drum machine from Soma Lab. That looks very, very interesting. Yeah. I wonder how far they got on with that, because that was just, well, one step beyond, really, in terms of drum machining. OPZ. Hey, yes. Okay, so maybe we should play bingo. OPZ, that's on my list of things to talk about. Somebody mentioned it. Good. Good, great. Yeah, let me spend a moment with the OPZ. Yeah, so I don't know if anybody saw my write up of it on Gear News, or my talk about it on the Molten Monthly, of course, is that um, I know it's not popular, perhaps, but I'm just not into it. It's a bit like Electron, I suppose. There's just certain vibes from certain bits of gear that just don't get to me for one reason or another. I can't properly explain it, and people do get very defensive when I say that I don't like these sorts of things, because it might be something that they've purchased and they like to defend that, because we all feel that we want to give the impression that we know what we're doing and we've bought something that's cool and nice and we're going with that and everyone should agree. But I don't always agree. So, and that's okay, that's all right. I'm saying that I can absolutely fundamentally disagree with your purchase choices. And that's okay, that's groovy, man. That's why there's so much stuff out there. So we can all have our own mix of bits. So the OPZ, yes. I mean, I spoke to Teenage Engineering, the guy from Teenage Engineering, at Super Booth last year, not the one just gone, the one before, because it was there. It was there. And he was on an empty stand. He was standing next to Sherman Filter People, the bloke, Sherman Filter bloke, who I think I really pissed off because I said, hello. He said, oh, look, the Sherman Filter Bank. And I said something along the lines of, I meant it nicely, but something along the lines of, wow, you've been rocking that one product for like 2 decades. Haven't you ever thought of doing something else? Well, I meant that as a honest question, a possible thing, you know. Sherman Filter Banks. Wow, man, come on, do another one or something. Anyway, so next to him was Teenage Engineering and the OPZ. And I chatted to some guy about it. Just said, so what is it? And he wasn't really able to tell me, and they weren't really able to show me anything very much. But he kept talking about this. They had this video of this not pixelated, this vectorized bloke, you know, moving about, some beats going on, and it looked horrible then. And I was saying, I didn't really say it, and all that's it's kind of interesting. and then wandered off to insult Mr. Sherman. But it hasn't got any better. I mean, I know there's a whole community of people out there who love their pocket operators, love sitting on the bus and fiddling with these things, little things. I mean, the OP1, as I said before, I thought it looked terrible. Didn't think it would be any good, but then actually coming into contact with one and playing with one, actually thought, actually, this is all right. This is really quite groovy. But there were the things that I liked about it, they've taken out of the OPZ. You know, and I still keep hearing it referred to as a 16-track sequencer. And it ain't a 16-track sequencer. Well, it is, but that's so misleading because it's not. You've got 4 channels of drums and then 4 channels of lead. That's it. The rest is weirdness. The rest is modulating effects. The rest is the visuals or DMX lighting. I mean, who's doing DMX lighting? I mean, I am. Obviously, I'm doing weird stuff. But, well, no, usually I just end up putting lights on rotate. But, yeah, so, yeah, potentially interesting things in there. But, I don't know. And the whole thing with the screen, yeah, I mean, we use apps all the time to run other things, but it's usually for additional features, not for fundamental features, I think. I couldn't get over the fact there's no HDMI out. I thought, what's the box for? I don't know. It's just a little MIDI controller. I don't know. And again, they make all this fuss about per step modulation, but everything does that. Everything. So, it's frustrating. 2.5 years ago, wow, that's a really interesting box. Does some interesting things, not too sure about the form factor. 2.5 years later, oh, it's a box that does stuff that everything else does, but everything else is bigger, easier to use, more powerful, and more fun. Because you need a little Phillips screwdriver, don't you? Anyway, so OPZ, enough. I'm not going to go into that any further. So, Mr. Ravioli, do you have Contact 6? That's the question. Because Complete, which is another one of my bingo things on my list. Contact 6. What's new about it? Anything? I don't know. I can't seem to fathom it. I mean, it has an instrument designer. That's interesting, I suppose. But it's already always had that. If you're interested in doing that kind of thing. So I'm just not sure as to why it warrants a new number, other than the fact that they had very little to include in the new Complete 12, and thought they better upgrade it, give it another number, maybe just shift it around a little bit, throw in a few more samples. I don't know. I do not know. Right, let's see if I've missed everybody out, and I'll just catch up. Okay, there's somebody talking. Is that Russian? I have no idea. Is that a problem? Oh, I shouldn't think so. Lego Technic component. Yeah, it does a bit. Yeah, well, that's the thing. I mean, when you talk about people not sending me gear, yeah, it's a factor. I don't know. I mean, it's like, I think from my point of view, I would rather, because I mean, it's more interesting. Oh, no, I'm going to put this around the right way. I would rather buy stuff myself, review it, and sell it on, in order to retain my own opinion. And that's what I do. It's like with the Surface Go over here. I bought that myself because I had a little space of time where Microsoft thought I was awesome when I was doing the Surface Pro audio videos. And then it went wrong with the Surface Pro 4 because it wasn't very good. It was a bad product. To start with, much better now, but it was a bad product. And that kind of broke our relationship rather, because they don't like people saying bad things about them. And why should they? Why would anybody? I mean, I am completely and absolutely aware that behind every single product is some person who has worked their guts out on it. I understand that. And that is always in my mind when I'm writing something critical, because I think it's important to understand the humanity behind technology. And I respect that greatly. However, I'm still going to be honest about something. I have to be. I have to present an honest interaction, an honest experience with whatever it is that I'm using, regardless of where it came from, whether I bought it myself or somebody sent it to me. For instance, I did a massive review of the Complete Control S49, and it was warts and all from Native Instruments. And they sent it to me. It was an NFR for free. I can have it. I can keep it. I didn't know I was allowed to keep it, but they said afterwards I could keep it, and that's fine. But that will not influence my review of it. I mean, does it create bias? Oh, I'm sure it does. I'm sure I would be softer on a product that somebody sent me for free than not, perhaps, because it's already put me in a good frame of mind regarding them, I suppose. But then this isn't politics. It doesn't really matter. We're just talking about gear. So, for instance, Native Instruments have sent me this. They sent me it before it was released. That was exciting. And I did not have any time to make the whole load of videos that people make to release on the day of release date thing. So I missed that boat entirely. But that's okay, because I'm going to check it out and I'll do my own video on it. And I will say what I love and I'll say what I don't like. And Native Instruments are good enough to want to continue sending me stuff because they are interested in what I have to say. And they are sort of big enough, I think, now to handle it if I'm unkind about bits and pieces. Because, I mean, again, as I've said, I don't mean to be unkind to anybody about their gear choices or their products or anything. But I have to express a certain amount of honesty about something, you know? So that's important to me. My independence in that regard is important to me. That doesn't mean I refuse free stuff. No, send me free stuff. That's fine. Absolutely. But that does not mean that I will automatically give it a good review. And if that means I get less free stuff, then so be it. Because I don't get a whole lot of free stuff. I do from time to time, which is nice. I mean, the BeatStep Pro, that wasn't free. I had to buy that. So yeah, I'll be selling that on. Will I? I don't know. Yes, possibly. I will. I need the space. But this thing here, yeah, I'm quite looking forward to this because I used to have a machine, the first one, and I really enjoyed it. But again, I had to sell it in order to make space for modules. So I'm interested in having one back, do a little bit of finger drumming, see what that's about, and also see how well it runs on the Surface and the Surface Go. So that will be cool. Looking forward to doing that soon. It's just scanning through. That's Russian. Okay. Cool. Vulkan plugin. Don't know what that is. Moving on down. Have I caught up yet? Yeah, I've caught up. So if I've missed your comment, I'm terribly sorry. But by all means, ask it again. If I didn't, keep on asking. If there's something particular you want me to talk about or something, then do ask. But yeah, time's going on. It's 9:15. Wow, look at that. So a couple of puns at the bottom. Uniformly positive reviewers lack credibility. I kind of agree. It depends what we're doing, though. Are we just trying to show a product? Because we have to remember that we live in extraordinary times and everything is flipping awesome. Everything. It's just all fabulous. This stuff we've got. Wow. This over here. Oh, flip. That's amazing. That is. We're overwhelmed with amazing stuff. So how dare we criticize any of it? Because all of it's so great. So in many respects, just to show, look, here's another great thing. I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with that. But it's also interesting to inject some reality. It's like, for instance, the DIY project I did on the graphic EQ. If you saw that a few weeks ago, from Music Thing. And I went online to get the manual to show me how to make it, and it wasn't there. There was an empty folder. And now I knew very well that I could probably call up Tom Whitwell. I'm a friend on Facebook. Not that we've ever really had much of a conversation, but we are friends on Facebook. I could have given him a poke, and he would have gone, "Oh, really? That's missing? Oh no, we'll sort that out straight away." But I thought, no, sod it, because I want to demonstrate the user experience. And I find that's important because my particular mission, if you like, my heart in these things is to be a punter, because that is the thing that gets up my nose more than anything else. Because when, if I'm building computers and I'm installing software, I install these things a lot, and I have to go, and sometimes users have to go through hell to install bits of software. That drives me nuts. The user experience of products is the one thing that reviewers tend to ignore, because reviewers, myself included, we are used to gear, and we are used to installation and teething troubles. We're used to those first hurdles to get over because we do it a lot. But I think those things are really important. So I aim to try to bring a user experience to all the videos that I do. So I bumble through stuff, because most users are not going to pore over the manual for hours and hours before they do anything. They're not going to bring a whole wealth of experience with them. And so I try to do that honestly myself, because that's just the kind of person I am. I do bumble along. I don't get into depth with things. I do try things out and try to feel my way through. And I think it opens up a view of products, I think, that you don't often get. And I think that if there's any key to my moderate success on YouTube, it's about that. It's about that, I think. I think that's what people respond to, or people resonate. What I resonate with people about. That makes sense? Not very many people, evidently, but some people. And I think that's kind of the hole that I'm filling. Oh, I don't know. 3/4 of the truth. Oh, thank you for that. Yeah. Stuart says, "Hi Robin, you started to describe earlier how modular enthused you more than any kind of music production. Many of us feel the same way. Have you come to any conclusions as to why this is?" No conclusions. No, no. Shifting ideas. Yeah, shifting ideas. Yeah, I mean, I'd love to be able to put that into a proper soundbite, but I can only speak from my own experience. Is that I love electronic sound. Have always liked electronic sound, even in my folky days when I'm playing guitar, singing in folk clubs. Oh yes, really. I've always liked a bit of electronic music, not necessarily genre-based electronic music. Anyway, I'm digressing. So I enjoy the sound. I enjoy playing with synthesizers, and I thought I enjoyed that in software because software allowed me to have all these sounds. Previous to that, I mean, back in the 90s when I first got into computer music, the cost of everything was enormous. Just just crazy. Price of synthesizers, hardware, it was ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. So to have that kind of sound on in software was just phenomenal, and it was the phenomenalness of that kind of overwhelmed the lack of control and the lack of hands-on stuff. And so it was okay, and it was okay for a decade, okay for maybe 20 years. But then there's just comes a time when you can't be asked to mouse another control. Everything is so written. It's so composed. There's no experimentation. I mean, every now and again, I would sit there with a controller keyboard, and you'd just be going through some presets, and you'd go through it forever trying to find a sound. I mean, I've got a number of albums out there which are all based on music software created sound, synthesizer sounds from within software, all in the box, and I would spend hours going through presets trying to find there's a sound in my head, and I can't sculpt it in software. I can find something close to it and then tweak it through presets, but I found that I couldn't start designing a sound. As soon as I started touching hardware synthesizers again, the new generation of hardware synthesizers, all these things that started coming and appearing, uh, I just found that I could find things really easy. I could start to move things about, and I knew what they did, kind of intuitively. You know? And that led into modular because there wasn't a particular sound I was after. I was after all sorts of different sorts of sounds and different ideas. And I loved the way these things started colliding into each other. And it's, you know, you buy a full synthesizer. I bought the Bass Station 2 I've got over here. Great little thing, great little thing. But it's stuck somehow. And I didn't want just that. I didn't want just this sound. Oh, okay, so I could buy another one, buy an Arturia one, buy another one of those, buy an ARP. All these different synthesizers turning up. Yeah, I could see that, but there was something about this that took that to another level. Something about it which enabled me to, I don't know, to find a route through something. And that was then engaging so much more of my head, you know, than stepping through presets, listening for a sound. Oh no, that just kills everything. Whereas this, you know, it occupies your entire head because it's feel, it's touch, it's turn, it's sound, visual, looking, it's searching, it's trying to find something, it's trying to understand things. It expands your brain. There's so many things going on. There's nothing quite like it, I don't think. And in some ways, there's no end to it because you always can do something different. I mean, I can't sculpt in here either. I can't go, oh, there's a sound in my head, I'm going to go make it. No. But after spending a couple of minutes with this, I don't care what the sound was in my head. I'm making something better. You know? What's the end to that? I don't know, looking flipping cool. That's all I care about. The beer. Somebody asked. Obviously, wasn't here earlier when we voted on the beer. The beer is Beyond Pale. There you go. It's from the London Beer Factory. It's very nice. It has this really strange ring pull top thing, which we talked about earlier. So I'm not going to go over it again because I need to keep putting things together before time disappears. My audio is cutting in and out. Well, I did turn on my noise gate. But that might be because I'm coming back a little bit. I can always turn that down again. Hang on, one sec. One. Okay, it was a bit late to have changed things now, but I've done that. But when I turn the music up, it might possibly get a little bit of that coming through as well. Oh, who knows? Who knows? I mean, I'm sure you'll tell me all about it. Gate threshold a bit hold. What? Still, yes. Okay, let's put that down. Yeah, I mean, controlling software with hardware, yes. Yeah, I mean, that's a thing that works. It's just there's a level of faff involved, and by which I mean annoyance or level of extra work involved in making that happen. It's never instant. I know it's supposed to be instant. I mean, I've played with Automap and with the Native Instruments Complete stuff and that with that keyboard, and it is kind of, it's almost there. And I certainly had a lot of fun. You know, I can lose myself for a good long time with the Complete Control stuff because I am browsing, and there's nothing wrong in browsing presets. That can be an interesting experiment all by itself because there's a lot of great sound out there. It depends on what you're trying to do, I guess. So yeah, software hardware interface, yeah, but I've just never found anything which is effortless, and this is effortless. The effort is elsewhere. The effort is not in the interface. The effort is in the exploration, in the finding things. But during that finding of things, you're always creating sound. You're not creating sound when you're trying to map MIDI controllers to different things. And then the whole of the music creation, if you're talking about software, is not contained in that controller. The controller that you've mapped is only mapped to various controls. It's not actually producing the music. You then have to go off and write something or sequence something with your mouse in order to get something to work. Whereas with the modular, it's just happening. It's all happening in the now. It's very much a, this is what it is doing this second kind of thing, you know. And I've not found that in software. Software is a different thing, you know. I use software for different reasons, for different bits and pieces. Yeah, so please comment if the audio is better or worse than before. That's helpful. Sounds better now. Thanks, Johnny. Nice one. Oh, does anybody know who won? No, who went out of Strictly? More importantly, I mean, I can't believe we haven't talked about it up to now. Who went out of Strictly? Because I had to leave in order to sort my faff out before the end. I mean, I know that what's it with the hair, who did the blue suede shoes, Jive, I think it was. He was in the dance off. Who was the other person in the dance off? This is very important. I do not know at this time. And then who went out? I need to know. Okay, good. Audio is better. Thank you. So let me talk about something off my list over here. Sequencing, we did that. I just want to mention Generator from Analog Solutions. That's a kind of a thing about this. I'll get both my hands on it. Oh, there we go. It's both my hands. Sort of this sort of size. It looks like it could be 60 to 70 HP. I think as a desktop sequencer, it's got 3 channels of full knob sequencing, so you can see what they're all pointing at. You can see what they're pointing at. So it's got all that going on, lots of other stuff. It's only just out, and they might have said they'll send me one for review. I mean, they did. I mean, I don't know whether that actually happened. You know, until you have something in your hands, you're never really quite sure whether that's going to happen or not, because people like to say nice things, which is nice. But I got in touch, I think. How did that come about? Don't remember, but it doesn't matter. But they're going to be at Synth Fest next week. Oh, yeah, we could chat about that as well. And that's... hopefully I'll be able to take one away for a couple of weeks and do a review of it. That would be ace, because that's like a proper posh sequencer, you know, done by proper people who know what they're talking about, not just Arturia. You know, of course they know what they're talking about. Of course they do. But so that will be really interesting, and that would really feed into this idea of mine of doing a larger video overviewing different types of sequencers and what I like and don't like about them. So yeah, so that's exciting. So that's just to finish up on sequencing. Synthfest next week. Who's going? Show of hands. Show of hands. Who's going? Anybody? So yeah, Synthfest. That is a festival of synthesizers, I suppose you could say, which is happening at Sheffield next Saturday. You can turn up on the day if you like and get in. I think it's 15 quid if you turn up on the day. It's all day from about 10:30 to 6:30. There are seminars going on, some really lovely things people are talking about. But more importantly, personally, is that all the manufacturers will be there. A whole load of modular people will be there with their stuff out for you to play with, and with the people there to talk to. So it was there 2 years ago that I first played with some Eurorack. First, my brain started opening up to the idea of it, because I was playing with synthesizers, going around it, and I was there to write some news for Gear News about it, because I was having to write about synthesizers. So it seemed like a good thing to go to, and I had not expected to fall headfirst down the modular rabbit hole, but I did. You know, after speaking to a few people, had some great conversations with people like Justin from Abstract and Eden Gray. Chelsea Bruno was there. I spoke to her at length because she was just completely fascinating. She just had, it was just the best thing. She had this row, just a single row of modular, of these weird, I mean, DIY and crappy modules. They didn't look particularly posh, but she was just making this sound, and she was chatting to me while she was plugging things in and plugging things out, and it evolved and changed and made these other sounds. And it was like, how are you doing that? She said, oh, no, I'm just plugging stuff in. And she says she can't help herself. I just have to plug more stuff in and keep moving it about. And that was completely mind-altering. So yeah, and I sort of have her to thank, really, for switching something in my brain that made me go, that's just the most amazing thing I've ever seen. So yeah, so that was 2 years ago. So it's only been 2 years I've been into this nonsense. So I will be there. I'll be taking along Alfie, my 11-year-old, just for fun, trying to get them out of the house once in a while. So I'll be there. By all means, feel free to say hello, come and wave at me, or shake my hand, or shout at me across the room. I don't really mind. I can be shy, not that that's helpful, but just, you know. So if you say hello and I go, oh, hello, and then I don't know what to say after that, that's not your fault. Okay, that's not your fault. I'll try my best to think of something, because I don't quite know how to do those sorts of situations, but it's really fun, and you know, it's great that people do, and I love people saying hello, because that just makes me feel awesome, because it makes me feel like I'm having some kind of impact somewhere. Is that important? I don't know, but it makes me feel good. Feeling good is a good thing. Let's go with that. So yeah. Except for Oliver Jones, I don't want to meet him, whoever he is. I'm just joking. Livestock, are they going to be there again? I spoke to him again at Super Booth. There we go, Super Booth. Not this year. I didn't go this year. I went last year. I spoke to him there, and he was quite interesting. You know, a young chap making these modules. Took him about a year from design to finished product, although it then probably took another year to actually get it released. But yeah, some interesting stuff. I don't think his best stuff has come out yet. I can't remember what that is. He's sort of dropped a couple of interesting bits and pieces, but I think there's more to come from Livestock, which could be very, very interesting. So yeah, I'm keen to see that too. No, well, Alfie was there last year. He took photos and stuff. He was all right. He also came with me to Super Booth. Again, not this year, last year. And had a great time. Had a great time in Germany. Walked our little feet off, we did. So, yeah, no, I mean, I give him my camera, get him to take some photos and that kind of thing. He seems to enjoy it. I mean, I got him a little synth to DIY synth to make for Christmas, which he recently finished, 6 months after the event, which I think he really enjoyed. I think, because I mean, I could talk at length about children and music and how difficult that is when you're a musical parent trying to somehow instill a love and fascination for music into your kids without putting them off the whole thing by making them do stuff. So rather than going into all that at depth, all I'm just saying is that my base level understanding of it is purely I just want to give him the opportunity to be exposed to these sorts of music and these sorts of devices. That's kind of what I'm hoping to do with this. And if he gets really bored, like he would at some point, I'll take the next one. Take the next one down. I'll take Arthur along. He's 8, and I don't know. He might love it. I don't know. I'll take him next year. I think he's not quite there yet. Take him next year. Take both of them next year. But then, of course, then you get into this difficult situation where, oh yeah, but there's a thing that I do with Dad. You see? Oh no, but they've got another one anyway. Bar de bar. What else have we got on here? What was I talking about? Synthfest. So yeah. Okay, moving on from Synthfest. Polyfusion. That was the other thing I want to talk about. Polyfusion. Did anybody else see that going on? It was at NobCon. Polyfusion were at NobCon, and there was a lot of coverage of them. They're re-releasing their Series 2000, which they're fabulous. Thing with a thing. No, I'd never heard of them either. I mean, they were huge apparently. They're around the same time as Moog. Came out of Moog. A couple of guys came out of Moog who wanted to build their own things and became Polyfusion. Now, what's interesting about it is that there seemed to be 2 different camps. Didn't get this very well from the from the Synthtopia video, which just had the original guy, Ron Folkman. Oh, I forget now. He was one of the originators talking about it with a huge Polyfusion Series 2000 stand next to it with Polyfusion on his t-shirt. And some slightly overbearing guy who was the distributor for it, who was very pleased about that. But there was some kind of battle going on that we couldn't really seem to understand in the video. So I sort of wrote it up and understood there's some kind of battle going on with the name. And then I got lots of corrections from the people themselves saying, oh no, we don't do this, we don't do that. Because the weird thing was there was no website. There was nowhere you could go to find out about these Polyfusion synthesizers other than Vintage Synth or somewhere like that, Wikipedia. Because the company Polyfusion just made electrical systems that had nothing to do with synthesizers on them. So anyway, so they were rapidly trying to create a website, but they couldn't because the name was in dispute. All right, fair enough. So I sort of left them to it. But then after a little bit more searching, when I was looking for see if there was a link or a website now for the Modular Monthly, for the Molten Monthly that I did, I came across another website called Polyfusion, and this had all the Series 2000 modules as Eurorack modules, or at least appeared to have them, all saying that they were coming soon. So I thought, well, that's weird, because they said they weren't going to do Eurorack. So then I twigged that this must be the other Polyfusion, because there's two Polyfusions that are trying to steal the name. So I dropped them an email saying, who, tell me more about these modules. And I got a response today saying, yeah, okay, let's hook up and chat about it. And which is great, and I'll do that, and I'll tell you all about it as soon as I know anything more about it. But at the same time, the Facebook group, which was the only link I had from the other Polyfusion people, they had a Polyfusion Series 2000 Facebook group, changed their name to the Ron Folkman, if that's his name, Series 2000 Facebook group. So I think they've lost the case to acquire the name. So the people who are doing these other Polyfusion modules, the Eurorack ones, I think they got in there, basically got in there first with the name and have taken it and are going to use it for their modules. I don't know which is right or good or best. I don't know what's morally right or what. I've no idea. It would seem nice that the old guy who originally started the company should have the name. Of course it does. But, you know, if they weren't together enough to sort that out, then maybe that's just how it goes. And these other people who are doing it in Eurorack, I think, personally, will probably be more successful than trying to recreate this massive, huge wall of modular that I don't think there's a huge market for. I don't know. Anyway, I'll chat to them hopefully this week and find out more about it. So that was interesting, I think. No, there isn't a huge spider. Don't do that to me. Or is there? I mean, my shed is absolutely full of spiders. So that's not even funny. All right, I'll let that go. Have I gathered the courage to make a DUI, driving under the influence, power supply? Oh, DYI. Do yourself it. Do yourself it, power supply. No, I haven't. I'm not going to either, because I've got plenty of other kits to do. Which, oh, that reminds me. God, flip. This happens to me a lot, right? I don't do things quick enough. I'm not... It's frustrating. It's a personal frustration, okay? Somebody sends me something, like the Machine Micro here, and I don't have time to capitalise on having that piece of gear. So, I've been talking at length about making the DIY Befaco even VCO as my first DIY project, and I got a little bit sidetracked into the graphic EQ because I thought, first of all, it was a really cool idea. Secondly, Music Thing asked me, or rather Thonk asked me, if I wouldn't mind doing that one because they've got a workshop coming up on it. So I did. So I was going to do the Befaco, but I thought, okay, I'll do the graphic EQs. It's a good warm up for doing something more complicated. And then, would you believe it, that the master, excuse me, that's the beer talking, the master of YouTube DIYing, the Synth DIY guy, is that what he's called? He's flipping gone and done the Befaco even VCO. I mean, it's not a new kit, it's an old kit. I thought he did new stuff. I mean, he already did the bass voice from Erica Synths, which I wanted to do, and I hadn't even talked about that one, but he did that one. It's like, oh, okay, can't do that one, got to find out something else. The Befaco, let's do that, because it's old, no one else is going to do it, there's no decent videos about it anywhere, and then he comes out and does it. Oh, so annoying. I mean, that's fine. We can both exist in this space because he's going to show you how to build it properly, what it's all about, how it all works. Whereas I'm going to show you how you fudge it, how you fudge your way through doing these things without a care in the world, not really knowing what's going on, and not having the right tools. So it'll be an interesting comparison. I mean, his video will probably be, it's probably 10 minutes long. Mine will at least be 2 hours. Be hours of stuff and me faffing around. So that's interesting. It's just one of those things where, I mean, it happened with the graphic VCO. You know, I had that for a while. I had it too long. I should have released a video and I hadn't because I was still learning about it. I need to take my time with stuff because I'm not that clever. I don't understand everything. So often I need to sit down with something for a little bit, then go away, then come back and spend some more time, then go away, then spend some serious time with it while I work it out, then go away, then finally I'm too scared to make the video because I think I'm going to make a fool of myself or say something stupid which isn't actually correct. So I kind of wait until somebody else says something about it so I can just reconfirm that what I'm talking about is true. So I need to have more confidence and be slightly riskier. Risk being wrong is what I need to do. And get those out there quicker. That's why I want to do a review of the Lattice. Quick. Before anybody else has one. Things like that. Otherwise, yeah, I keep getting gazumped. But as I say, it doesn't matter. I hold nobody, any you will, over these sorts of things. Because DivKid does it all the time. All the time! Just when I'm about to do something, wham, he goes and does it. But that's alright. I don't mind. It's just that personal annoyance thing. But one gets over it. One gets over it. When am I going to get a rings module? I don't know. I don't have any particular interest in getting a rings module. What's that up here? Somebody saying they want to what? You should come to the Deershed Festival, which I run in Yorkshire. I've heard of that. Why have I heard of that? That's not like the Le Monde. No, that's in Peterborough. Oh yeah, the Deershed Festival that DivKid and Mylar Melodies did. Yes, where they're in kind of a marquee doing stuff with kids and that. Ah, yeah. Okay, you're from that. Okay, fair enough. Respect. They look like a good thing. They seem to enjoy themselves. Yeah, kids with electronic gear. Very much. Sticky fingers. That's just what you want. You want somebody's, who's got a stick of candy floss going all over your filter bits. That's why I think it was genius that DivKid took that little controller along with him, because it kept all those horrible fingers and snotty noses off his modular. Genius that was. Because that is the thing. I mean, you could get a load of those duos things in. You know, that strange pyramid slopey synth thing that's vastly overpriced for a little synth that two people can play on at once. Maybe that's what they need. I don't know. I don't know what it is that gets kids interested. So I'm trying to work out what got me interested. Because for me, it was my rejection of piano lessons. Because I had lots of piano lessons and I never really enjoyed them. I wanted to play piano, but lessons just would do me in. I couldn't seem to do it. And then my dad got an electronic keyboard and I had enough powers, had enough skills at that point in order to play one-handed chords over here, automatic accompaniment, and play lead up the top and follow sheet music. Enough to do that. And that's what really got me. So maybe I need to force my kids into the piano lessons in order for them to have that moment. I don't know. I don't want to do that. Anyway. I appreciate that, Dennis. Thank you that you don't care whether I'm first or not. And as far as views go, I can't afford to worry about that. If I was concerned about views, I wouldn't be doing it because Because there ain't enough. There's never enough. There will never be enough views. It's just too small a market. There's not enough people out there interested in this sort of stuff, I don't think. I'm very proud of the sort of view numbers that I get, but you know, it's peanuts in the world of YouTube and the way those sorts of things work. So you can't do it for the views. You can't. I mean, I see all these other guys, these other YouTubers, fanning around with thumbnails and bits and pieces in order to attract more clicks and bits and pieces. And I have sympathy for that. I would like to be able to have space in my life in order to think about those things more, but it's just not going to happen. So I'm immensely appreciative of the people who check out my videos and look at them. I'm particularly appreciative of that little gang of 6 or 7 people that dislike all of my videos, because I can't believe that 6 random people or new people coming in, it must be the same bunch, or it's probably one person with 6 different logins. That's my suspicion. But that doesn't matter. So like I say, views of course are important, but I'm a realist about these sorts of things. I don't think I'm ever going to break any records with that kind of thing, but that's fine. I mean, ultimately, as long as there's just enough level of people saying, yeah, you did all right, mate, that's enough for me, you know. I have simple needs, fragile ego. Morphogenie? What, just out there? Morphogenie question mark? Is Morphogenie a question? Or is Morphogenie more of a lifestyle? I have a sample slicer which I'm going to build as a DIY project. That will be my first sampler. I'm not going to get hold or be interested in any other sampler until I've built that and got the hang of it. Yeah, no, DivKid has already done a video on everything. Yes, I know that he has. And he just likes to time his releases. Yes, absolutely. Do I think AMD CPUs are now better for music production than Intel? No, not really. Ultimately, the processor shouldn't matter, really. There have been times when it did matter, and I'm pleased that AMD are back in the game again, because at one time they were really interested in music technology, and I've got a whole box of old AMD processors that they sent me for testing at one time, and they were all right. They suffered, ultimately. Oh, I do, excuse me. It's that beer. They suffered at the time from having all those pins. You know, they were just clunky to work with when building computers. I used to do AMD systems, but whenever you would deliver them to a customer, the heatsink would have pulled the CPU out of the socket. So customers would receive a computer, it wouldn't work because the processor was literally pulled out of the socket by the flexing of the system in transit. So I don't have so my history of AMD is slightly kind of frustrated by that. Whereas the Intel CPUs, they lock into the socket and they're sorted. So that was a very practical reason not to use AMD, regardless of what the processing power was like. But ultimately, if they can process numbers and they can do it quickly, then use it, man. It makes no odds. I understand Intel CPUs better. I understand the way that they scale and how they work and the cores and the hyperthreading, all that sort of business, how to tweak the motherboards. I understand that. And in some ways, I don't feel the need to learn AMD again, you know. But I don't see any reason why they wouldn't be awesome. They could be great. Did I speak about getting a Morphogenie? I think I certainly spoke about that. I like it. I think it looks fabulous. I think Make Noise are out of their minds. I saw a guy do a review of it, and he basically kind of, you know, this is an online YouTuber doing a review of the Morphogenie, and he was just totally, he was a born-again Make Noise marketing man. He must have been, because he just spewed all this stuff about reels and time and space and interface and all the stuff that you find on the Make Noise website that doesn't make any sense to any normal person. and I just thought that was hilarious. And at that point, I really wanted to do my own review, actually using real words, normal words that humans understand, because it's a sampler. It uses digital audio, but no, it's a reel, man. Yeah, what? But it looks fabulous. I think it could be extraordinarily creative. But sort of on purpose, I've blinkered myself to the whole thing of sampling on Eurorack. I mean, largely digital stuff as well. Not if it's digital behind the panel, but stuff which is outwardly digital, like the Ornament and Crime or Pamela's Workout, those sorts of things. I've just shied away from that area and sort of focused more on the stuff that has an analog feel. So, yeah, so that's where I am with that at the moment. That will change, though. I hope to perhaps expand into more stuff. I'll need more racks. That's not likely at the moment. Things may change. I might suddenly score another 200 Patreon patrons. And anything is possible. Nobody ever got fired for using Intel CPUs. That is also true. I've finished my beer. That must mean we're coming to the end of this. I wonder if I have anything else to say. I hope I don't make people so mad that they need a thumbs down. I think there's a conspiracy. I really do. Can I build a cool synth that isn't out there yet? Yeah, I reckon I can. I have sketches of things that I want to build. One of those involves actually a modular... No, it's not modular itself, but a Eurorack mixer that doesn't go in the Eurorack. It sits on here. I see that I have a need for a certain sort of mixer that does certain things of a certain size and a certain footprint that just isn't available. And so I'd really very much like to build one of those. I just don't have any clue how to. My programming skills, you know, I mean, I can, you know, 10 print. My name is Robin. 20 go to 10. I can do that, but I can also do it with a semicolon that makes it go all over the screen. And I used to be able to do it and make it flash in different colors. That's kind of my level of programming. So in order to code a module or even to build one from a schematic, I mean, I have built electronics in the past, but it usually borrowed and reworked. I don't know that I have the time for that. Maybe one day I will. I don't know. Certainly, the guy from Voltage Modular, Cherry Audio, suggested that I might be able to do some Molten modules for that, which was interesting because there are some things I think that are missing very much in Voltage Modular that I could do in Orange as Molten modules. It's got to be a goer, hasn't it? I could probably do that. Yeah, and I don't use the graphic VCO anywhere near as much as I should. Okay, so just check back a second. Sort of like Starbucks. The terms created for the Morphogenie are sort of like Starbucks names for sizes of beverages. Yes, I totally get that. I do get that. So does anybody have the answer to Strictly? I'm going to have to ask my wife when I get in. Did anybody say that? No, I must have missed that. Okay, so I better bring this to a bit of a close, I think. Otherwise, we're going to hit 2 hours, and that just seems crazy. Have you tried node-based programming? It's in between VCV and command line programming. No, I haven't. No. So, list of things to talk about. Well, things for you to ponder. Max for live. Oh, no, just Max 8. Does anybody use that stuff? It boggles my mind. So that's a thought on that. Windows 10S, yes, that was a waste of time. Absolutely. However, it wasn't a waste of time because I knew that people would ask me the question, what was Windows 10s all about? Can you make music with it? So I felt desperately deep inside that I had to answer that question. And also, I mean, you know, just putting my cards on the table. Next week, Microsoft have got a big launch event in New York. I was at the one for the Surface Pro 4. That's 2 years ago. No, more than that. Well, a couple of years ago anyway. They flew me over and that whole thing, and that was awesome. And I felt very special. And I spent time with the Bitwig guys. They were there. Spent time with the Staff Pad guy. Spent time with Thevius Fleckbeck. Thevius with those guys. And it was fabulous, and we're all yay, Microsoft Surfaces, yay, all that kind of stuff. I even got to try on the HoloLens. I had a go at that, and although I was very drunk, and it wasn't very good. So that's good. What am I saying? Yeah, so they've got an event next week. So I thought, well, sod it. I haven't done a whole lot of Surface stuff recently. So Surface Go, let's give that a concentrated go. Let's do a fabulous video on how fabulous Windows 10s mode is. And it was all right. It did okay. I did some music apps. I only moaned about it a little bit, about how you can't use ASIO and certain ins and outs don't work. But I tried to do something real about it so that people had an answer to the question, can you use universal apps? Can you use the only software available on Windows 10s, which is the Windows Store apps, can you use those to make music? The answer was yes, you could. And I did that video with the absolute selfish hope that Microsoft would go, oh yeah, look, that guy's doing nice videos about us again. Let's send him a ticket to New York and bring him along to the thing as a super fan. But sadly, it hasn't happened. I mean, I've even done the one now about Cubase, Pro Tools and Ableton Live. A little bit of Ableton Live. There wasn't much in there about Ableton Live. I confess I would do another whole video on Ableton Live. But anyway, did some performance testing, and the Surface Go working out brilliantly. What a great little machine. It'll only do a handful of plugins, but that's alright. It's great. It's stable. It's got audio going in and out. Fabulous. Got that out there. Again, in the hope that Microsoft might phone me up and send me a ticket. But sadly, no. Sadly, no. It doesn't seem to be that way anymore. Which is a shame. Which is a shame. I mean, I even emailed everybody I knew at Microsoft. Most of them are no longer there. But anyway, so if you're at Microsoft, if you're there going, this guy's amazing, we should have him there, then I can go at a drop of a hat. Well, I might have to sort out some babysitting. But otherwise, yeah, I'll come along because it was fun last time. I enjoyed it. And yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy to wave my Microsoft thing and go ooh and clap at the right times. Oh, didn't mean to talk about that. What else was I talking about? Did that 909 day? Was that interesting? No, it wasn't. Oh, yeah. Well, there's the System 80 808 Eurorack thing. That's interesting. Don't really need to talk about that. And I was going to do an unboxing of the machine, but we don't really care about that yet. I'll do that at another time. So that's probably going to be about it. Yes. Yeah, level 6. Your app certainly does work on Windows 10s. Yes, but you don't. The sad thing about that, I was going to mention that and go into it. Only that problem being, there wasn't really much else you could control with it. That was a sad thing. I guess you could use it as a controller for other things. I just didn't quite get that far. Yeah. But I do have a video about that at some point. It'll happen. No, it will at some point. I'll do that. I mean to. Really do mean to. What about a Dell workstation? 128 bigger joules, is that? Bigger joules of RAM and an i9 processor. Not bad for a laptop. Yeah, it's fabulous. I've got 3 of them. Got 3 of them over there. And I've been doing sort of cross reviews with those. And the other thing I've got is a paperback book. And over here's a Kangaroo. I've no idea, mate. I've no idea. Why would I have any idea what that laptop is any good at? What? I've no idea. It sounds awesome. Do that. Have one of those. Do that. But no, I can't. I can never answer questions of what's this computer like, because unless I have that computer, I mean, this is the whole reason why I do reviews of the Surface, is because you cannot say from a piece of paper, reading a piece of paper about a computer, whether it's any good at all for anything. You cannot, because there's no knowing. Talking about music production, it'll be great for games, be great for spreadsheets, awesome for Photoshop. For making audio, there is absolutely no guarantee that it can handle audio going in and out of it. It doesn't matter what processor it has. It could have the biggest processor in the world and it could still fall over because it might have a modem driver in there which is just crappy and keeps interrupting the CPU, or it might have a USB driver which isn't fully formed and the firmware's a bit crap and it doesn't do that very well, you know. So there's absolutely no way that I can say, yeah, a laptop will do great. I mean, it sounds great, perhaps. I don't know. Could be great. i9 processor to me sounds like it'll be very noisy and heavy and hot. Is overclocking a CPU recommended for music production? Yes and no. I've done lots of overclocking of processors, and I do sell computers that have processors which are unlocked and overclocked. Yeah, it's not a problem because it's super stable as long as you keep it within certain limits. I mean, if you can push it to mad places in order to play games and get high frame rates, and that's great. And if your game crashes, who cares? But if your session crashes and you've got Adele and Madonna doing a duet, that's bad news, you know. So you have to weigh that up. You have to make a decision as to whether pushing something outside of its nominal limits is a good thing for your environment and your situation. But overclocking is easy these days, so there's not really a massive reason not to do it. I don't tend to do it anymore on music production systems simply because it's unnecessary. I think I've came to the decision that the stability and the noise level is more important than getting a little bit more performance out of something. So, you know, but on your own system, yeah, fill with boots, go for it. Yeah, it's not a problem. The thing you have to consider is whether it's making your system less stable, and stability is a thing, I would say. Okay, so I think that's probably it. So Synthfest next week, as I said, great. Coming up in videos, I am going to do the Bafako Even VCO, I hope, tomorrow. Haha, with a bit of luck. Well, at least Monday or Tuesday. I think I'll get stuck into that, get one of those done. Then I'm going to be looking at doing a review of the Lattice, then I'll be doing the Machine Micro with the Surface Go, a little bit of that going on. I'm going to do, people want me to do guitar effects with the Surface Go, I'll do that. A couple of other doors as well. Oh, and also, I mean, hopefully I'll be bringing home a couple of things from Synthfest with a bit of luck. There's another rumour of getting hold of a Studio Electronics little synth as well. Interesting. Very interested in all of that kind of thing. So I'll do a bit of that. So a bit of DIY this week before I go to Synthfest. A little bit of Modular, I think, a little bit of Surface Go, then Synthfest, then a couple of things coming out of that I'll do videos on, I think. And then that should take us through into the next load of exciting stuff. Exciting things like learning more about the Hermod, learning more about Magneto. And then doing a sequencer overview. Oh yeah, yeah. Doing an overview on sequencing. I'd like to do that very much. Discovering sequencing, it will be called. There will be a discovering filters at some point. And discovering LFOs maybe. I don't know. I don't know about that one so much. But we shall see. So thank you. Thank you for joining me. It's always a pleasure. I don't know how I managed to talk for 2 hours. It boggles my mind. But I have, and I did it again, and we'll do it again next month with a different beer. With a bit of luck. So feel free to subscribe, to like, to poke all the buttons everywhere, to join us on Patreon where you can pay for me to go on holiday if you like, or just throw me a couple of dollars. I don't mind. That would be awesome. Helps me make videos, that does. And it inspires me to do so because I suddenly feel like I'm obligated to keep doing this stuff, which is all right. I don't mind. A little bit of pressure. A little bit of pressure is good. It actually makes me do things. So good. I'm going to go and find out who got kicked out of Strictly, which is more important than anything else, really. And in the meantime, go make some tunes. I will spend 2 minutes making a tune as a fade out, and you feel free to leave whenever you like, you know, turn the lights out, that kind of thing.